David Baye here from MuscularDevelopment.com. We are in Pittsburgh for the 2014 NPC Masters National Championships. I am hanging out here with your over 35 overall super heavyweight, or excuse me, your overall winner and your super heavyweight winner and new IFBB pro, John Anderson. Now, John, your story is a little bit different than a lot of guys competing here at Masters. You know, we talk to some of these guys that start competing at a young age, you know, and sometimes it just takes a long time to get that pro card. Some of these guys have taken off for long periods of time. This is your second show. Yeah. So everybody is probably going to want a little bit of a background. You know, we don't got to go too far back, but you know, how did you get into training? You know, obviously you're a huge guy. This isn't something that you just started. You know, and whatever you were doing before, how did that transpire into bodybuilding competitions?
You know, I was, to be honest, God reached me down on the shoulder and tapped me and said, "You're a fat little kid and you got nothing." And somewhere along the lines, I got inspired. It was probably, you know, like most, see a picture of Arnold and blown away. And so I picked up my pen and started training. And, you know, I've always been totally inspired by big, strong guys. And then after doing it long enough, I was one. And off I went on the international strongman circuit. I worked my ass off, man. I'm a weirdo. I mean, training makes me happy. Punishing myself beyond belief makes me happy. So I did a strongman run, 7 years there, had a back surgery. Time was up with that. Wrestled in Japan for the next almost 7, and then when that ended, I said, "Well, fuck, what am I going to do now?" And
looking for some other competitive.
The progression was bodybuilding because, you know, my body was, you know, showing the signs of age and wear. I'm 42 when I made the switch, and I know that with changing this, you know, bodybuilding training is different than the training I've done all along the way. I know that I can do it in a way that's safe for longer periods of time. So I can do this for another 7 to 10 years. And so it's kind of like, to be honest, almost like I feel like a kid again because I grew up looking at the magazines, you know. And, you know, some of these guys, you know, it's like the last guy you interviewed, I used to look at him in a magazine and go, holy shit, you know. And so it's cool, you know, it's kind of like being a kid again. And then, so when I came to bodybuilding, big goals inspire me. You're not going to say, "Oh, I'm just going to do a show." It's like, what's there? You know, It doesn't. I need to feel moved. So, okay, year 2014, I'm going to do my first show. I'm going to go try to get the pro card, and then I'm going to do my first pro contest. So I'm going to do the full progression in the year 2014. I knew doing my first show was just really to see where I was going to stack up. I knew I just need to just totally eclipse everybody there.
And what did you do as your first show?
Governor's Cup, Sacramento.
Okay.
And I knew that if I didn't just go and eclipse everybody, that my plan would never unfold.
Right.
And so to start this off a little bit back, I met with Achim Albrecht. And
sure, back in the 90s, I didn't even know he was around. Yeah, he was all over the magazines.
Okay. So he's close by. So I said, we've caught up. We have mutual friends, and he said, "Hey, you ever think about bodybuilding?" And I was wrestling. I was like, "Yeah, I can't do both." And he understood. He did that too. And so finally, when it was time, I said, "Achim, you want to give it a run?" I said, "Let's do it." So we trained for the first show. Went really well. There was that big difference that we needed to see. And so then
I was going to say, if you're jumping in at a local show, you probably you probably walked out and people were like, "Jesus, what the hell's this guy doing here?"
Yeah, I thought I was a guest poser. Yeah.
How much do you weigh, if you don't mind me asking?
I weighed 259. I was limp hard though, man. I mean, we wanted to bring me into the 50s because we wanted me to be hard because here, and as I learned more about the bodybuilding world, I've been told that the further you go east, the harder and the sicker and the grainier they want you to look. So we just let go of the scale. We said, we're just going on how you look. The mirror's our gauge. And, you know, I wanted glutes and the Christmas tree 2.5 weeks away, and that's what we got. And at that point, we use the scale as just kind of a gauge to make sure I'm not losing too fast or that I'm not losing at all. But you got to let go of the weight off season. I'm 300 pounds, you know, and I stay in good condition. But here, you know, I'd be 270, 275, you know, 3 weeks before the show. But then just as you come in, your body just starts letting go. And it doesn't really make a difference because, you know, tomorrow I'll be 12 pounds heavier than I was today, you know? Anyway, so we had that big response, boom, eclipsed everybody at the local show, which is what we needed because if we didn't, the plan wasn't going to work. And then the question is, obviously to meet this goal, what was the path of least resistance to get my pro card? You know, and I'm not trying to knock anything here, but obviously going to the USA's is a different task. So going to the USA's, you know, it's the biggest show in the country for the amateurs. So trying to meet my goal, why would I do that? You know.
Well, if you had an opportunity, you know, a couple weeks ahead of time, and might as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, we actually kind of thought about going from here to there, but at that point, to do what we're trying to do, it just kind of sidetracks us a little bit. You know, we got the card. I mean, as a IFBB Pro card holder, I can go wherever I want to go. You know, it's not like as a master I can't go here. Obviously, to make it some of the big contests, you got to qualify or get invited. But you know, like there's a whole series of pro contests that are wide open for pros to go to. So, you know, and being in my first year, I got no illusions of going and stepping on the Olympia stage. That's
right. But now you did mention you kind of wanted to run the gamut. Now you're from out west, and you said your first show was in Sacramento. Now 2 weeks from tomorrow.
I'm planning on doing that. That's what I'm planning on doing because I'm just going to hold my condition, roll through. When I went to do my first contest, I met Hani in Ramba, and he said, hey, you know, he actually is the one that kind of said, look, I see what you got here. This is what you should do.
Sure.
And so I looked at the dates. I was a little close, but you know I can do it. And so you know the guy knows his shit.
Yeah, I mean if Hani's going to start throwing advice your way, it's kind of like, I might want to take it.
Exactly. You know, so who might have questioned? You know, so I looked at the dates. I thought, well, it's some work, but that's what I'm all about. You know what I mean? I'm not scared. Hard work turns me on, baby.
So 2 weeks from today, we're going to see you. 2 weeks from, well, it might be today. It might be Saturday already. It's all pretty close to midnight.
The only thing that's got me a little concerned is I had a real rough trip here where my flight was canceled. I spent a night awake in the airport, and I feel like I'm getting sick. I mean, now that it's over, I'm really starting, like the glands are swelling. And so I'm hoping that tomorrow, good night's sleep, I shake it all off.
Right.
But obviously, I want my first pro showing to be under healthy conditions. Right. But that's the plan. I'll be in Sacramento, get that first one out of the way. If something goes awry in that plan, obviously I'll have the rest of the year to pick.
There's a show in Tampa as well, August 9th, a week after Sacramento. You know, you got to make another trek across the other side of the country.
I got the rest of the year to get it done. What I really, even if I do the one like I'm planning on in Sacramento, solid possibility that I may go again at the end of the year anyway, because I need experience. You know?
Sure. And there's also the Legends Classic out west, Lou Ferrigno's show, end of November. Right.
Like the last week of November. So that'd be perfect, you know. So you know, go do Hani's show in Sacramento. I still have just a little break and then go again, you know. So I need experience, you know. I mean, my prep.
The only IFBB pro bodybuilder that I think I've ever known where, I've done 2 shows. So
well, I was actually thinking about that. You know, granted, I did qualify as a master, but it's still an IFBB pro. I was how do I find? Very curious. How many people have done that?
I've been following bodybuilding for a long time, and I would say that it's probably pretty rare. Like I said, at most of these Masters shows, you know, the guys that we see coming through are guys that have been in the NPC for a long time. Not to say, you get a handful, but I'm not so sure about like 2. That's a pretty unique story. But we're gonna wrap things up here. I know you want to kind of get off your feet, get some food a little bit, not too much though.